Welcome back, gamers. It's your boy Drizzle Gaming, and I am back with the off-season episode of the UAB Blazers Dynasty. And to start the episode, I want to recap what happened in the college football playoff after our win against the Arizona Wildcats in the Frisco Bowl. The Clemson Tigers ended up playing against Texas in the national championship and coming out with a 7-point lead, in which it looks like it ended up being a really good game. In today's episode, we're gonna recap. Um, the season overall, like I said, it was a 9-4 year. We had some ups, we had some downs. We weren't able to go undefeated in the conference, which was a goal that I had. Win the conference, which was another goal that I had. Make the playoffs, which of course is always the goal. But we were able to come away with the bowl win, which is really important towards our coaching prestige, coaching level in this episode as well. I'll go ahead and jump into our coaching attributes and see about upgrading those, kind of going over what I did with my tree thus far. And so thus far, I made sure that I got my quarterbacks and my linebackers boost to their upgrades in the offseason. Always very important to me to make sure I get the right guys boost. And so I'll go ahead as well now and match up two other um, skill groups, that being the O line, making sure they get really good boost in the off season, as well as now my defensive line. The last ones now for me will probably be my receivers and my DBs, which I usually like to get early, but I'm unable to do so thus far. I do have some other trees that are coming available. They do cost quite a bit of points, but I haven't used very much. I want it to be a motivator to start out so I can make sure I get my guys the XP boost pretty quickly. And so as we jump into my players leaving screen, this is my very first experience with transfers. And so on a list full of people that were very important to this team last year, there's a lot of them that are possibly looking at transferring. And so with that, we only have 6 persuasions attempts available. And we'll look to be very careful and very pretentious about who we'll try to go after. And one of the people that I'm very sure that I want to go after and trying to pursue to come back is Perry Fisher, who we will lose as a transfer. And the next person I'll try to go after is freshman Gabriel Klein, who's also looking to leave over a playing style, who will also lose as a transfer. And so I'll just go through at this point to see who I do actually want to try and see who we are able to persuade, as we failed to persuade Corey Milner, Iverson Hooks, DeMarcus Smith, Solomon Beebe, just about everybody that we had any attempt to possibly even bring back, we lost. And so this would be a very interesting change of guard as Corey Milner, Iverson Hooks, DeMarcus Smith, Solomon Beebe, who we didn't get a chance to use last year, and Perry Fisher and Gabriel Klein, all looking to see about seeking other opportunities elsewhere for playing style and championship contender reasons. We tried everything that we could to persuade them or change to fit their needs, but unable to come up with a persuade there. And so we'll see what happens here once we advance to um, the next week with transfers and see what we can now pull in to replace the talent that we just lost. So a couple of people here in the transfer portal that I wanted to see about going after. One of them being a four-star safety in Kerry Brown, a coverage specialist who is a sophomore. Another being freshman D tackle Mar Adams, a freshman also. Bravion Rogers, a transfer corner who is a junior, and Des Ricks is just a name that I absolutely I just have to go after just because. And Deshaun Spears, a transfer sophomore, and then quarterback in Elijah Owekili, I think he's from Wake Forest. He's a pure runner, so I wanted to see what kind of skill set he would bring. And then Jordan Gilbert, a safety, a hybrid safety. And then I'm also going after former Troy quarterback Goose Crowder. So a couple of guys that we'll probably try to see about going after here in the off season. I'll probably speed this up to probably signing day once I get all this recruiting out the way, and we can go ahead and advance and see what kind of upgrades our guys get, and see what kind of recruiting class we can come out with, and see what happens with the next season. Skipping ahead here now to National Signing Day. And 28 recruits and commitments later, three 4 stars, 22 3 stars, and three 1 stars, we come away with the 48th best recruiting class, with the second best in the conference behind Tulane. With a really good recruiting class here overall, we were able to sign a couple of 4 stars, a couple I want to go over. Again, Kerry Brown, sophomore safety, transfer. Darren Tabor, a running back out of high school, backfield threat from Arlington, Texas. Amari Adams, a freshman, pure power transfer. Somebody I'm hoping to make a really big impact here with the Blazers. Bravion Rogers is one that we lost out on in recruiting. Des Ricks was one that we were able to flip. It was the first time that I had seen in recruiting where a recruit was committed somewhere else, and then the following week after we advanced, he ended up signing with us. He was committed to Army, and I didn't take him off my board. And then all of a sudden, he was committed to us. So I'm glad that he flipped and decided to join us down here in Birmingham as we signed Deshaun Spears, Zach Mixon, the dual threat quarterback that I'm really excited about having, Elijah Oakley, transfer, freshman from Fayetteville, North Carolina, a pure runner. Marcus Duke, a 3 star. Jordan Gilbert, a transfer safety that is a junior. Kevin Gano, Joshua Hicks, a right tackle. Goose Crowder ended up going to Auburn. AJ Gay from Wisconsin, a defensive tackle, and a host of other 3 stars that we will definitely keep our eyes on, especially our favorite thus far, caller John Barmore from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, who will eventually be probably our starting linebacker, and Cordell LeCount, who I'm really excited about getting on campus. So we'll definitely look to see about adding some new talent. I do want to go back through and see if I can find out where some of my previous players did end up going. And so I'll look through. And so we'll skip over to receivers. And so it looks like Corey Milner ended up going unsigned. I guess I don't know what happened with him, but it doesn't say where he went. So we'll have to try to see if we can find out where he ended up going. And then Iverson Hooks also seemingly unsigned. So two of our guys unsigned after the transfer portal. As we'll check now on one more player in Gabriel Klein, who also went unsigned here in the transfer portal. And so I'm assuming that after this week, we'll see about where they'll end up. But for now, we'll go into some position changes. See if there's any position changes to be had. As Kerry Brown will end up coming in as an 85 overall and will definitely make a big impact on this roster. And Amari Adams, who was a All American, and I don't even know where he came from because it won't tell me right now. Um, Also comes in as an 82 overall, and so now Oakley comes in also at a 73 overall, with Ryder Burton, our best quarterback, left on roster after a departure of a quarterback, as well as the graduation of Jalen Kitna. And Zach Mixon will go ahead and look to see about changing his position. As I'm not even sure how we do it this year. Okay, after some trouble there, I was able to figure out how to make the position change. And so far, it looks like Mixon, of course, is going to be best at quarterback, and that's where we'll put him. As right now, as it stands, there will be a three-way tie, as Mixon only comes out with a normal depth chart, but a three-way tie to see who will end up being our starting quarterback. Of course, I'm leaning towards the freshman transfer, and so we'll see about changing just a few more positions as we look at Cordell LeCount now, who has an elite depth trait and a lot of different positions he can play. He can play defensively, he can play offensively. And I want to go through and look before we just make a decision here on his career. As right now, he would not see the field as a running back this season, coming in as a 69 overall, nor would he see the field as a receiver, very likely, with Caleb Brown and Jalen Elder leading the way there. We could possibly see about putting him over at tight end. However, I don't like his size and how that fits as opposed to being a tight end, as he's 6 foot, and I really don't want to put him anywhere other than running back. So I'm going to stick to my gut, leave him at running back, let him develop. He has a very good development trait that'll very much so help us. And so we'll look through a little bit more of our roster as you see shakeups in certain areas, new players, new faces. Darren Tabor, who as a four-star comes in as a 74 overall with a couple of abilities, and we'll look at a couple of different positions for him as well. And he's only able to play running back, so we'll hope to see about getting him on the field as well this season. And so Caleb Brown looks like he had an upgrade to his development trait as he's now a star. And so our freshman Kyle Byler comes in as a 68, and Adonis Adai also comes in as a 66 overall. And so after losing Gabriel Klein, this year will be led by Ferguson, who had a couple catches in last season. And so we'll look to see about moving somebody over to left tackle, as it looks like we'll struggle at that position. And we'll take this junior and move him over to left tackle. And we also look to see about possibly adding some depth at right guard, as we'll move this freshman Josh Hoover over to right guard, leaving us with at least two people at every position on the line, and still having a good bit of depth with edge rushers, so no problems there. And also bringing in again Amari Adams at defensive tackle, and a really good three-star in Marcus Duke. And so we have a lot of good pieces here, as even some of our freshmen with lower overalls will have to see some playing time, but we'll have to find a way to continue to recruit from season to season and continue to get better. As JUCO transfer Damon Wilson, look to see about again possibly being our signal caller as we lie in wait and let John Barmore kind of develop. And so we're not as talented as we have been or we were last year. Actually, dropping our overall thus far before training, um, as Desmond Ricks, Tariq Watson, who is here for another year, Bashir, and Trey Miles, our four senior cornerbacks, look to see about leading us. And so we'll see about what happens in training, see if we can get a little bit better, maybe be a little bit better overall than we were in the last season. But to recap, some of the better classes in this race being Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, LSU, Alabama, some of the perennial big time names, the usuals. And I do, of course, also want to hop over and look at some of the top recruits. So that way, when I do go back and either edit this video or look at this video, I'll be able to go back and see something very interesting like this. Keldrick Faulk um, transfers away from Auburn and goes to Ole Miss. And so just some things that I, of course, want to see. Also, Noah Fafita, who we just saw with the Arizona Wildcats transferring to Clemson. Just some interesting things that I wanted to look at before I got ready to move on to the next season. Kind of see what all happened in this previous season, see what happened with some of the best recruits. See what happened as again, Keelan Russell, a transfer from Alabama, going on to now sign with LSU, getting ready to head into a new area, a new season. We of course want to get better here and continue to try to see what happens as we continue on into new heights. We're blazing a new path. That is the first time that I've used the name of the series here in this in any video. But as always, I appreciate any type of support that I can get. I'll probably advance through training, get ready to go into the next season. Actually, I'll go ahead and show training before I get out of here on this episode. And so we got some level ups as well for Coach Cena. And we also were able to get a dev tray upgrade over the course of the all season for Brown. And so after training results, that'll bring our overall now to a 71 overall. And so it'll prove very useful that we did use motivator here early. As Kerry Brown uh, bumps up to an 86 overall, kicker goes up to an 83 overall. Caleb Brown um, has star dev and is now up 4 points to a 83. Spears up to an 84 and Watson up to an 83. We have some really good guys now on the team. And this is who they were talking about. AJ Brown went up to Impact Dev, now going up 6 overalls. 6 overalls up to an 82 from a 76. That's going to play very big for our depth. I like the way that this year you can see how some guys improved as opposed to others. Nate Rogers, who was a freshman last season, went up 6 overalls. Lipowski went up 6 overalls, even as a normal dev trade. Oakley went up three more points. So I do, of course, want to look at the quarterbacks before we leave. Um, and like I said, as it stands right now, the quarterback that I would like to play with and start this year will very likely be the starter, as in some other players got a lot better, which makes me very happy. Elder, Hawkins, now being the trio that will catch the ball for a new quarterback this season for Coach Cena. And we even got better at tight end. And in a lot of areas, like I said, we were able to get a lot better, hopefully adding to the depth of this team, hopefully adding to what will be to come from year to year for these UAB Blazers. And so in the next episode, we should be back at the preseason of the following season, which will be the 2026 season for the UAB Blazers. I cannot wait to get into season two, see what happens there, see what type of recruits we can pull, see what type of things we can make happen. See if we can't go for a 10-win season, if not better. See if we can go for a better bowl game, if not a playoff. Anything's possible. You know, we're trying to blaze a new path. The 9-4 Blazers now looking to go into the 2020 season, 2026 season with a head full of steam and a really good recruiting class and a lot of good, really upgrades. And so I cannot wait until the next episode, which will be episode, I don't know, I think maybe 13 of this series. I appreciate any type of support that I can get. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Comment down below anything that you like or you see. And until the next episode, I'm out.